gotta get that refried beans, homie.
And you fucking ruined it.
Science. Hook me up, man. I'm there.
We're on the internet, baby. You know what's funny is oh yeah. What's funny is I always thought dabs take a lot of work. I remember I went this was my cousin, I think. He was like, "You want to do a dab?" I was like, all right. And like they pulled out the bong, and then they pulled out this like blowtorch, you know, those big ones you get from Home Depot.
Yeah.
They're like, I was like, what the fuck is this? This seemed like a lot of work.
They put on
Yeah, you put on like a welding mask. It'll just be a minute. Need you to stand back.
5 feet. Give me 5 feet.
I need 20 feet all around me. We were in like a factory for some reason.
You know what it reminds me of? It's like you guys are making the axe. And
Yeah, when they make Stormbreaker
Yes.
in Infinity War. Yeah, he was like, he like
Holding
took
up
the
the-
power of a star just to get stoned.
Pass.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rev Filo Show. I am the Reverend
And I am Filo.
We are missing Mike today,
Yeah,
but we have a couple of our buddies in his place. We have Peter. Hello,
Hey,
Peter.
what's up?
And of course, Tom Salick returning. Oh, actually, Peter was here last time too.
Yeah.
Tommy,
Hello, guys.
welcome.
You
And
remember them from the Vegas
Y'all
show?
remember them from the Vegas show. Thanks for coming back, guys. You know you guys are welcome anytime.
All right, thank you.
Pleasure to be here. Pleasure.
Pleasure. It's
I guess we'll just get right into it. I was having a conversation the other day at work. This is how this came about. And I forget who I was talking to, but I was saying how like it's weird to think that like we still live in a time where like there's countries that live under dictatorships. And that it
Right.
seems almost like an ancient way of like governing people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Because you think dictatorship, you think like Genghis Khan and fucking Julius Caesar and shit.
Yeah.
Actually, Rome had democracy, but but you know what I mean. Like, but like, there's still countries that Kim Jong Un, North Korea.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's all I know off the bat. Any other countries? Is Cambodia still under a dictatorship?
Technically, I mean, it's a prime minister right now, but there's controversy going on. He just kind of jailed all of his opponents.
What's the difference
for the election.
between a prime minister and like a president? Okay, so I
That
know
I'm
like
not sure.
like in Britain, they have the Queen and the royal family, who
Right.
they're kind of just
Yeah.
there.
they're just
But
a puppet.
the prime minister is the one who actually like is the head of parliament, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
So he's the one who's actually running the government,
Yeah.
and I don't
Not with total control.
not with total
Definitely.
control, but I don't know.
Enough to the point where he could, set his own rules and
Right,
Yeah.
right. But I mean, he's not in. He's almost. Is he like the president?
So the definition here, basically, it's like it says semi-president.
Semi-president.
So what it
how
is,
much
it's
power does like the Queen still have in the UK?
really nothing. I guess maybe influential power. if you
Just
wanna say.
like
Yeah.
this bloodline just passed down.
Well, influential power meaning like she could sway like people who are loyal to like
she
the
doesn't
queen.
actually-
but I could be wrong.
but
I
she
don't know.
doesn't actually have any say in the government.
I don't think so. Maybe influence.
Influence.
But a prime minister is the head of a cabinet and the leader of the ministers in the executive branch of government.
Okay.
So
So like the
often it's
president, is the leader of his cabinet, or he has a cabinet.
Exactly. So it's
Okay.
pretty much the same. Almost
So,
the same.
but
do they are they like commander in chiefs as well?
like in terms of the military.
Military.
I don't think so. I think that may be the difference. But I'm not too sure. If anybody knows out there, leave a comment, email.
Right. So the reason why we brought Peter and Tom in with us is because Peter and Tom, since you can't see them, are of Cambodian descent. And when we were talking about the whole dictatorship and like how it's weird that we still live in a time where that exists, especially in the United States, for people who grew up in the United States, it's almost like fiction. You know what I'm saying? It's almost
Yeah.
like it's not even
Yeah.
real, like, because
Exactly.
it's so. But, wow, what was my point? Oh, so we got to talking about, of course, when there's dictatorships, there tends to be genocide if if your leader's a fucking insane person,
Mm-hmm.
and we're talking about how there's obviously like the Holocaust, which is a very well-known genocide that took place. And then there's also like the Armenian genocide, which is getting a lot more attention these
Yeah.
days.
Yes.
Uh,
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so.
for
Rightfully
sure.
so. But they say the one that goes most unnoticed is the Cambodian genocide
Right.
under Pol Pot. Yes,
Yeah.
which was like in the 70s, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mid
Get a little
70s.
closer on the mic, bro.
Mid 70s.
Yeah.
75.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but Peter and Tom, both your parents were in Cambodia during this time.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
And they got out of Cambodia, obviously, because they came here. And were you guys born in the United States?
Yes.
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 I was born. My mom actually was like 7 months when she took the airplane.
7 months.
Already
Oh, she was a
pregnant.
baby. Oh, she was 7 months with
Pregnant
you.
With me.
Oh,
And then when I got here 2 months later,
then you were born.
I was born.
So,
July.
so we were talking in the car, and Tom was saying how his dad was kind of in the resistance, or there was like some sort of like, I don't know what was going down. I really don't know.
He was just a soldier playing a soldier.
Soldier. So okay, so there was Pol Pot.
So you're not too sure
But-
what military he was in.
No, like
Maybe he was just like in a militia of some sort, you know.
Pretty much.
Okay.
And then you said that your parents were actually a little farther away from the danger, or
No, well, they were in the northwest region
of Cambodia.
where it wasn't hit as crazy as the northeast,
Okay.
where the border of Vietnam was, because of all the carpet bombings that
Yeah.
the United States did.
Right.
To give you guys a little bit of history for
Yes.
that.
Let's,
So-
so Pol Pot was in charge.
No,
well, let's go.
Okay.
You got to go
No,
even
let's- you
further
gotta-
back.
Oh my God. Okay,
To
let's
under-
do it.
To
Time
understand
for a
this,
history lesson on the Rev Filo Show.
to understand this, you got to go way back. This is like 1953.
Okay.
And Cambodia wins their
So
independence.
before Disneyland opened.
Before.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So this was Cambodia was under the French colonial powers,
Okay.
Mhm.
and then they fought for their independence. Won November 9th, 1953.
Okay.
Uh,
So they used to be under the French.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
Yeah.
the French
And
was
we
like,
were-
okay, do your
yeah.
own thing.
yeah,
Okay.
no, well, they were like pretty much fuck you, French. We want our own independence.
Right, and then they got it from France.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So there was this king. Correct me if I'm wrong,
Sihanouk.
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 So under King Sihanouk for 15 years, they were in a period of great prosperity, peace. Things
Okay.
were looking good.
15
Things were
years,
looking up.
everything was good. 'cause
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
won the war.
They
Yeah.
won the
Morale,
war.
morale tends
Music.
to be high after
Exactly.
you win a
Yeah.
war.
Now
Oh,
this,
hey,
Yes.
it was like everything was going. You know, our movies were being made,
Right.
which were good. Our music, which many in our culture considered the golden age
Mhm.
of music
uh-huh.
because of Sin Sisimut.
Yeah,
Uh,
wasn't there like rock and roll? I think
Yeah,
you said
there
this,
were
right?
there were rock and roll
Rock and roll like Cambodian bands?
Yeah,
Okay.
rock and roll. We even have like a remake in Cambodian
Right.
in Khmer
Mm-hmm.
of Oye Como Va.
Oh,
Oh,
this is,
shit.
okay. Nice.
Which, you know,
Santana song.
Yeah, exactly. You know, everything influence. You know, we'll take songs from different countries
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and vice versa. They'll
Okay.
take songs from us too. So it was thriving.
So there was money.
There was
the economy
money,
was good.
Economy
Yeah.
was
And this
great.
went on for 15
So
years.
this went on for 15 years.
Yeah.
So right around the end of the 60s.
So yeah, so right around the end of the 60s, then you had conflict in Vietnam.
Right. I
You
was going to
had-
actually ask if the
Yeah.
Vietnam War played any part
Oh,
in...
it played a
yeah,
big
see, I don't
part.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
'Cause the
Huge.
Vietnam War was a whole other fucking bloodbath.
So what
Oh, yeah,
happened
that's
was
another story right
Yeah.
there too.
Sihanouk wanted to keep it
Now under
neutral.
Sihanouk, he was a
He was a
a
king.
king.
So it was
but
a monarch.
But
It was a
he
monarch.
was a good king, I guess. Like
Yeah.
he was, he
Technically, yes
Well,
and no. Yes
yeah.
and
it
no.
was still a dictatorship, but maybe
It was a monarchy.
a monarchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was hierarchy. And what
Yeah.
about like the people though? Were they ever?
They were ruled under the
Yeah.
monarch.
But I mean,
Yeah.
like you said, it was a prosperous time, so it wasn't like.
Oh no. So yeah, he allowed for like he had they had colleges they were building.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was imagine a modern time, like I would say even like the U.S. booming at the time, like
For sure.
Yeah.
Like,
Like after World War II, we were
yeah.
booming hard
yeah,
for a while.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
They were
Exactly.
doing fine.
Yeah.
But the only difference is they were ruled under a monarch.
So
they had
what?
the
Yeah,
king.
it wasn't democracy.
And he was taking credit. He gave them their independence from the French, so everything was
Apparently
looking
he
great.
did.
So
Okay. And
Yeah.
then
And he
Pol
was
Pot comes along.
and
no,
no,
not yet.
and he was all up in the movies. all
Oh
up
yeah,
in the
yeah. He was all
music.
so
So
this
he
is where
was
there
like-
starts to become a disconnect. So Vietnam starts. There starts conflicts there. China, Russia's trying to get in there. Vietnamese split. There's a North and South now.
Okay.
North being the communists, the South being more like
Less
Western.
communist. Right.
Yeah,
Because-
more Western influenced. And so Sihanouk was trying to keep it mutual. So he ended up taking both sides, trying to play both sides, meaning the
Mhm.
U.S.
Mhm.
was getting involved.
Yeah.
Vietnam and China. He was trying to play both sides, saying like, okay,
Yeah.
well, Cambodia is going to be neutral, so we're
Yeah.
not gonna accept any.
It's
But
hard
he
to be neutral when your fucking country's
Oh,
right.
they're right on
Yeah, I
the border,
know.
like they're kissing each
Because
other.
like
Yeah.
United States was neutral in World War II,
Yeah.
and it was easy for them to stay neutral because there's a fucking ocean in between
Mhm.
them.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
So Sihanouk was seen as controversial towards the people. He started losing popularity because he started accepting financial and military aid from the U.S. because he was afraid of the Vietnamese and the Chinese thinking
Ganging up on them?
Mhm.
But
On
he was
Cambodia?
also afraid of the U.S.
right.
because he didn't know. He felt maybe they were going to try and take over. So eventually, he felt that they were going to do a coup d'état.
Coup d'état.
Yeah, meaning he thought they were going to overthrow him, and he also had
Meaning the Chinese, the Vietnamese, and the U.S.
no. He
okay.
thought the U.S.
was going to overthrow Cambodia.
Yeah, so he had a feeling, so he cut ties with the U.S.
Okay.
Now his feelings may
This
have
was
been-
during the Vietnam War.
this was
okay.
this was all this was like the beginning stages,
Beginning.
not and then towards the latter half when we started doing the draft and everything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So what he felt was that the U.S. was going to overthrow him. So he had feelings. He didn't know. He had
Mhm.
feelings, so he cut ties. Right after that, the U.S. does, and this was President Nixon. You can find this on his
Mhm.
impeachment. He was
Mhm.
actually impeached. This was the first things that brought up in his impeachment.
I mean,
was-
I think he was going to be impeached, but he then he stepped down.
Yeah,
Right.
but one of the first
Mhm.
things that was brought up was the secret bombings, and the secret
bombings
yeah,
of
Cambodia.
Cambodia.
in the northeast region.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So there's this region where they created like a trail.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why the U.S. may have bombed, well, what Nixon felt that it was probably the right thing to do
Mm-hmm.
was because after Sihanouk cut ties,
Mhm.
he
Isn't there a Mortal Kombat character named like Shinnok? Is his name Shinnok?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shinnok, yeah. Shinnok. No, but
What
this
is
is
what
see,
is
this
this
is Sihanouk.
Sihanouk.
Okay, you're
Yeah.
saying Sihanouk over here. I'm like, you mean
I'm-
Shinnok?
correct me if I'm wrong. And
Not
he-
Shinnok from Mortal Kombat.
See-
Wait,
Sihanouk.
what was his name? Say his name over there.
Sihanouk.
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 Okay.
All right.
Sihanouk.
So they
Sihanouk.
had a trail.
They had a
the
trail.
Nixon.
No. This was a trail between Cambodia and Vietnam,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
where some of the northern Vietnamese Viet Cong
Viet Cong.
We're
can-
using.
Charlie,
were
as they were called.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
using it
Yeah.
to either hide or transport military
Yeah.
goods.
And
Who
the
was
king.
using it? Nixon?
No.
The Viet Cong.
The Viet Cong were using it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Cambodia for a long time was not allowing them to.
Okay. And
Because,
then
but then Sihanouk,
Yeah.
Shinnok. Sihanouk
he cut ties with the U.S.
with Liu Kang.
and,
Yes.
and no longer
Just kidding.
became
I'm just kidding.
no longer became affiliated with the U.S.
Okay.
and no longer became neutral. So now,
Oh, so then he
so
so
he-
then he was like, all right, Viet Cong.
yeah.
come-
So
come
what he
through.
felt was okay. The U.S. is after me. He
Yeah.
started getting paranoid.
I mean, in his defense,
Yeah.
we did lose the war. So I mean,
Well-
he chose the right side.
well,
well-
hold on. Well, this is
Okay.
where
Well,
it gets.
I feel like I think he didn't really wanted that. I think when the Viet Cong ended up taking that route,
Mhm.
he didn't have forces
He
to
didn't have a
block off.
he didn't have a choice really. From what it shows is that he wanted peace. He knew
Yeah.
this was going to be a mess for his country. He just didn't know what to do. And then
He had no military funding.
and
or
then there
anything.
was rumors of the CIA going in there and trying to fuck with his country and getting people to turn on Sihanouk and turn
Uh-huh.
on the king.
getting people,
Getting-
as in like
Yeah.
the Viet Cong,
Like
or
no,
his
like
own
getting
people?
his own like there's a prime minister.
Uh-huh.
Oh, he did have a prime minister in
Okay.
place. So getting
Long
his prime
no.
minister to basically all the conservatives who wanted Cambodia to
Mhm.
stay away from Viet Cong, there was rumors that the CIA was embedded in that and like getting them to change their minds and kind of overthrow the king.
Okay.
So then he catches wind of it, goes to the Viet Cong and Chinese because he feels, well, these are my only allies. These are the people fighting the U.S. This is my only choice of keeping my country safe. He knew there was a bad choice. There was nothing else he could do. So then he does that. Shortly later, Nixon approves of these bombings. And
what passenger? Remember
what?
what passenger?
Passenger?
Yeah.
Who's that?
He's I guess he was one of the general chiefs
Of the
of
U.S.?
the United
Yeah,
States
but it still came directly from the commander in chief, which
but
was Nixon.
it was
Nixon.
passenger's idea.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It was
Yeah.
his
Who was a-
mastermind.
Who was a general? So Passengers told Nixon to bomb
Yeah.
these trails.
Bomb these trails, yes.
So that the Viet Cong are getting stuff into
Yeah,
Cambodia.
and they're
getting stuff
hiding, and also there were reports of Viet Cong hiding in
out
Cambodia.
in Cambodia.
So
Gotcha.
what these fucking assholes did was they did high altitude bombing.
Right.
Now the accuracy in high altitude bombing, I
Is
guess at
shitty.
the time is not.
course.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
in the late 60s
And-
and
and-
early
Sure,
70s.
sure.
And to kind of get a gist of how much bombs they use more bombs on Cambodia, on that region,
Mhm.
than they did in Japan.
Yeah, I have the
Oh,
the
really?
exact information right here. So when they bombed this trail for 4 years, and those 4 years that they did it without Congress consent,
Mhm.
they bombed 2.7 million tons, and
Damn.
which is almost
Of what though?
of
Napalm?
napalm and just so they did 2.7 million, right?
Uh-huh.
That's almost a million more than they did in World War II on Japanese, including the two atom bombs that they dropped, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And was it Nagasaki?
So
Okay.
they literally bombed the shit
So
out
they,
of
so
us.
their
Okay.
their country was basically falling apart. So now
Making it weaker.
And Pol Pot,
Yeah,
who
so
since
he's on the
he's-
sidelines.
he sensed this.
he's not even doing anything yet.
Well,
No.
he's
Like, he hasn't even
just
come into
barely.
power.
No, he's just barely setting up this small guerrilla
Yeah.
militia in the jungles
And
that,
he's
that are
gonna-
pro communism.
So he's pro Viet Cong,
Communist.
communist.
Yeah.
Which
so
is
so he wasn't.
which is North Vietnam.
So just to establish this correctly, I guess from what I got from it is that this guy took advantage of the opportunity, used the bombing as propaganda, helped people. He used communism to his advantage. Saw that the Viet Cong kind of worked with them, didn't like them, worked with them still, and he was able to grow his militia. Now at the same time, the king gets overthrown. Now
By who?
Coup d'état. His
By
prime
Prime
minister.
Minister.
Prime Minister. What's his name?
Long no.
Long no.
So
Long
and
no.
okay, so here's what I wonder: when you overthrow a king, so what did he do? He
They
just
went-
he killed the king, or he
No.
got like his he
No,
like
so
got
the
his
king
inf-
escaped. He escaped to Thailand, right?
but escaped what?
He escaped. Well,
No,
I'm assuming
he
it
went.
would have been
he
a
went.
murder.
I believe
Or-
he went back to China. He
So his
took the
prime-
plane.
Oh, yeah,
back
he
to
went to
Wait,
China.
wait a
That's why he
minute.
went
I'm
to
talking
Beijing.
about what did when they say his prime minister overthrew the king? What did he do? He got his military to turn against the king and
Yes.
be like,
Yeah.
"You do what I say." The king is
Exactly.
don't do what he says. Do
Exactly,
what I say.
but the king was able to get the fuck out of there. He
He already
got out.
sensed it.
So
He
he sensed it. So he's like, "Oh shit."
Somebody inside
Told
told
him,
him,
like,
get the
like
fuck
they're
outta
gonna
here?
they're gonna
Because
kill
Okay,
him.
gotcha.
he wasn't hated. There was still at the time when he was overthrown. There was still people who were loyal to the king.
Yeah.
For sure, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he wasn't hated.
You just need enough people to be against the king.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So then this man takes over, and now he's called the Republic, the Khmer Republic, I believe.
Okay.
He starts.
Now, what's the name of this guy?
Long no.
Long no.
Long No. And what year was this now at this point? This is towards the end of the
This
Vietnam
is
War?
1970. That
Okay.
so this is still
No,
right
yeah,
in
the
middle.
Vietnam War ended in 1974, I believe.
Yeah. So
The year I was born.
1970.
Just kidding, I wasn't born that year.
So 1970, the Khmer Republic has begun, and now the Khmer Rouge is still out there.
Now, I don't want to lie. I know you did a lot of research, but like, I want to get to the part where Peter's parents are now kind of get the fuck out of Cambodia.
Okay, well, this is where it's this is where
Okay.
it finally gets here. So now the Khmer Rouge is getting bigger. The king comes back and joins the Khmer Rouge. So
Oh,
he
okay.
joins them thinking he has no idea what
He-
communism. He has no idea what their intentions are.
Mhm.
He just sees, I'm gonna get my country back. I'm gonna join you guys.
And
Who the what are they called again? Kim Young?
Sihanouk,
No. The
Khmer Rouge.
Khmer Rouge,
who wants to fight?
who's
the
being
Khmer-
run by the prime minister who overthrew the king.
No. So the Khmer Rouge
That's
is,
Pol
now
Pot's
that's
Pol
regime.
Pot. Okay,
so Pol Pot.
regime.
Now he comes into the picture.
Okay.
So Sihanouk joins him. They go and fight, and the Khmer Rouge overthrows, and there's this big civil war. Ends in 1975.
Okay.
People celebrate. People think this is a great thing.
Okay.
And as soon as the civil war ends, Khmer Rouge is in charge of Cambodia.
Mhm.
They turn on their people and they start putting them in concentration camps.
Yeah.
Working, and they start killing like people who are
Mhm.
educated. Anybody who poses a threat to power that they believe poses a threat to power, kill. There's stories of people that got killed who just wearing glasses, thinking
Mhm.
glasses would makes you look smart.
Okay.
Yeah. So
75, there's a civil war.
Yeah.
Pol Pot takes over.
That's
Yeah.
when they went to the capital and overtook the capital.
Ooh.
mhm.
And that's when
That sounds kind
yeah,
of. I mean,
which
it sounds kind of cool. Like,
which they
you
they
know, like,
kind
they
of
overtook the
yeah.
capital.
Yeah.
ah!
well from multiple accounts, people that still were survivors
Yeah.
when they came in,
uh-huh.
they were still throwing that propaganda of you guys exit the city
Uh-huh.
because the United States or they're about to bomb
They're-
the capital.
even though that had already stopped.
That already kind of stopped. Yeah,
That's exactly what they did.
Okay.
So the Khmer Rouge, after they won, they went into the way
Uh-huh.
they got people, and they convinced people to go to concentration camps and go to prisons and shit like that. Get them out of the villages. They pretty much
They
cleared the
said,
cities.
"Oh, so they said everyone. They told all civilians,
Yeah,
we're taking you out of the cities because the U.S. is coming to kill everybody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna take you to where it's safe, even though they were leading them right to the fucking death chamber.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
yeah. To the rice paddy fields.
Uh-huh.
yeah. Worked them
To-
to death, dude.
Opium fields.
No,
No?
only
No.
rice.
Only
Only
rice.
rice.
Right.
Oh, I think that
So
was.
they called it year zero,
year zero,
Yeah.
which was 1975.
which
Year
is yeah,
zero, I'll tell you exactly.
Yeah.
Pretty much the cleansing.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's-
it's like
And then,
a
so they So let
it's
me get
like
this
a-
straight. Pol Pot takes over, with his regime
forcing everyone to leave
to
the capital.
leave the capital because
And if nobody goes, they'll make them an example by killing them right in front of people.
Yeah.
so
they're like, okay.
oh shit, okay.
Yeah, so this
Hey,
was
hey,
1975.
you're not
year zero.
leaving.
year
Here.
zero.
Yeah.
So where are you guys, or where's your family at this point?
My family was in the Battambang region,
Okay,
which is
which is
which is I believe like northwest, like
Cambodia?
about northwest, probably like 15-20 miles away from the capital.
and what were
Okay.
they doing at the time? So this was
Um,
like 1975. So that has to be.
My mom was a
what-
kid.
Your
Okay.
mom was
So,
a kid.
Yeah, my
Okay.
mom was like 7,
okay.
8. So she was really
Uh,
super young.
And what were they doing at the time? Were they farmers? Were they city?
Yeah, well, like I said, like Cambodia was kind of like still in that prosperous state where,
Mhm.
and you gotta remember that it didn't spread throughout the whole
Quickly, right?
the country.
The Pol Pot thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it kind of like went to certain regions
Mhm.
first, and then then that's slowly but methodically they were
Mhm.
So people were able to catch wind of it, like let's say
Yeah.
it happened on the east side of Cambodia, all the way on the other side of the country.
Mhm.
People on the west side were able to be like, "Oh shit, let's get the fuck out of here." Basically, is what you're saying.
yeah,
But how do they get
Technically.
news? Like they have phones. They're sending
newspapers,
newspapers,
radio.
radio.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, like all those stuff. But
And what about you,
once-
Tom? Where's your fam in 1975?
I'm not quite sure, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Well, what are you sure of?
Half of us escaped, other half didn't.
Oh my god.
See, 'cause
Yeah.
you know how you
horrible.
said your dad was in the military. Now I'm not trying to say he was a bad person, because in what happened with the Khmer Rouge is they would pull young kids. Like your mom, if she wasn't where she was at, if she was somewhere around where year 0 had started,
What's going down?
she would have gotten thrown into the soldier encampment. So what they do is they
She
grab
did.
all the young.
She did get thrown in.
She did. They got her, and they went and brought her into a re-education camp.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay. So then.
Trying to brainwash.
And
these
and
kids.
how old was that? This was the same. This was year 0, or it took a
Yeah,
while for
I
Pol
think it's
Pot
like
to get to her.
I think it was like 6 months after.
Okay.
I
And they
believe.
just
she really didn't tell me the exact date, but she said that soon after they started
rolled in.
rolling in
and like
and plus you got to remember that, since King Sihanouk was siding with Pol Pot and the
Mhm.
regime, there's people that have hope, have faith in these government.
yeah.
So
Right.
then there's this section of people that were
They-
for this, and then
they like
there's-
willingly went with these guys.
yeah,
I
not
guess that
knowing,
I
not
guess
knowing.
that makes sense because King, what's his name again?
King Sihanouk.
King Sihanouk. He got overthrown.
This call him Nook.
Call him Nook. Nook gets overthrown. King Nook gets overthrown by the prime minister, right? So now they're in charge. So now I guess to some people it's like, oh well, King Nook, he's trying to make his comeback, and we want to go back to how things were when he was in
Yeah.
when he was in power because everything was awesome and there was money and everything was we were winning wars. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The way people seen him back then was, he was a patriot.
Right.
He was the nation's destiny. He was the rigid defender of the status quo.
It's funny,
So-
real
Yeah,
quick.
all that.
It's funny how countries use soldier stories to like manipulate morale. Because I just heard about a guy. I think I told you, or I was telling somebody. I saw a video on a guy who was a Japanese soldier. He was stationed on some island. I forget where off. He was on some island, and that was where his stronghold was. And then World War II ended, obviously. But he refused to stop fighting.
That's right. There was 3 of them actually,
Right.
and
so
he was the last survivor.
Right, and they refused to stop fighting until their commanding officer came to them and told them personally the war's over. So any newspaper they got, anything that said the war's over, they're
Yeah.
like, nope,
Yeah,
they're
they didn't
lying
believe
to us. That's not. It's fucking American propaganda. Blah 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 blah. But so finally, he held a stronghold for like 30 years. Finally, they get his commanding officer to be like, yo, like give it up, dumbass. And so he goes back to Japan. And Japan's all fucked up because they got fucked up by the U.S. So they use his story to say, wow, look at how he was so down for Japan because Japan's so awesome, and look at his love for his country. That's how we all should be, this and that. But in actuality, he was on this island. He was like a terrorist. Like he would go and like fucking
Yeah.
like
Raid the town.
raid the towns and like fucking kill people and like steal supplies and kill like cattle and shit and like.
And
but
he's
there was
been
no war
doing this
going
for
on.
years.
Yeah, he think there's a war going on, thinking like, well,
Yeah.
I'm a hero and there's no war going on. But it's funny how Japan used his story to
Boost
raise
morale.
base
Yeah.
morale, get
Yeah.
people pumped up, even though really he was kind of a fucking jerk.
Which
you know?
which
Gone
kind of is
crazy.
what's going on. What happened
Right.
here in 1975? People are there's still a pretty big popularity with the king. These loyalists who are still like down for Nook, and we're like, we're gonna do
For
it,
sure.
because he's with the Khmer Rouge.
Sure.
Now Nook, I didn't really get as to what to explain. Maybe you would know,
So
Peter.
hold
But
on. What I'm curious about is like your mom goes into the re-education camp. So she's 8. You said 6 months after. So she's
Yeah.
not even 8 years old
Yeah,
yet.
8, 9.
And so I mean, now you know I don't want to like if you don't want to say anything, you don't have to. But like she's in her village or in her house, wherever she's living with her parents, I'm assuming. And then the fucking regime comes in, and is it like a violent what's the word is it a violent encounter, or is it like come with us, or is there a struggle, or does your mom willingly go with them, or you know what I'm saying?
That's a good question. She really didn't get into detail about
I mean,
if
I'm
it
sure
was
that's
forced,
traumatizing. I wouldn't even see
if
why
it
she
was
would tell you.
forceful
Yeah.
or. But it seems like she had no choice.
Well, right.
And
For sure.
Well, at least from what I know from the research I've done, it says that families were pulled apart.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah.
what I'm envisioning in my head.
Did
It's-
she ever see her parents again?
Did they separate?
Yeah.
They separated her from her parents.
They separated, definitely. I believe she was with my grandpa,
Mm-hmm.
her dad,
Yeah.
at the time. And my grandma was somewhere else.
Okay.
in another region.
Okay.
And then that's when they, separated like Pip's
Mhm.
mom and my mom, the
Oh,
sisters.
okay.
Oh,
and
your
then-
cousin, right?
And then all the other family members, and they just spread them out.
Okay.
And then and a lot of times that a lot of these family members that were spread and ripped apart from each other
Mhm.
weren't going to the same camps in same regions to
Yeah.
make rice and be forced
Right.
labored.
So now my point, what I was getting back to about your dad, Tom. I mean, he probably tells you soldier, but I mean, he may have been a part of whatever young soldiers that they had trained to be in the Khmer Rouge, because the Khmer Rouge was trying to put up a front of
Khmer Rouge is Pol Pot's regime.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Sorry.
and they were trying to put up this front of like, we have this big army,
Right.
And so they used the kids
Mhm.
to kind of like show like, oh look, these are our forces.
Mm-hmm.
When in actuality, they were like a broken country. People were starving.
Right.
People were dying.
Famine.
And
And then all the routes that where cargo would come into the city and stuff were
Mhm.
blocked off by the army.
You-
So nothing was going in or out.
yeah,
And then later on, when the battle with Vietnam,
that's what I was gonna get to. And the 3 years, the craziest shit about this,
Mhm.
in 3 years, this lasted 3 years,
nobody knew.
and so the death toll estimated 1.7 million. And
1.7 or 3. The
Well,
estimation were
well, dated today,
yeah.
it's up to 1.7 million. And then that's not even including the
bombings.
estimated 500,000 that were previously killed by the U.S.
And
Oh,
those
shit.
tortured in
Yeah.
the S-21, the
So.
And the
high
only-
school.
Uh
That,
huh.
The only
Maybe.
thing that stopped the Khmer Rouge was their own fucking downfall. They decided to, or Pol Pot decided to attack the Vietnamese.
Mhm.
It doesn't explain why. Maybe he
Mhm.
just didn't like them. There was no reason he should have. He had we were ill prepared. They were ill prepared. They
That's
shouldn't have done
that's how Hitler lost
Yeah.
World War II. He tried to go after Russia, and he was like way underprepared. for,
Yeah.
like not even that Russia had a better army, but there was a lot of terrain they had
Yeah.
to cover
yeah.
because
Uh-huh.
Russia's humongous.
And they didn't know what to do.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
like winter hit, and they had they didn't have enough supplies, and a
Yeah.
lot of people ended up dying.
Yeah.
So Pol Pot, and I kind of find it funny, but there's nothing funny yet about it.
Right.
But he says he declares war in Vietnam. Vietnam says fuck that, goes in and invades and takes them out.
Damn, yeah. So
takes them
Vietnam
out within
was,
a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Pol Pot he just got he just got
He's-
cocky.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and he escaped to Thailand.
So hold on. I want to get back to your mom
Yeah.
because
yeah.
that's the fascinating part.
yeah.
Is she goes to a re-education camp, and you said she didn't. She said she's almost 8 when she
Yeah.
goes to this camp. How long was
8,
she in the
9.
camp for?
I don't know. She didn't tell
She
me
didn't say?
that. Yeah.
'Cause you
But
said-
she said she's been there, but then they ended up moving her to different sections,
And she was just like a
and she's just the ones that.
what do they call it when you're like is it called a ward of the state? Like when no one's your guardian, so the state just kind of moves you
Yeah,
Yeah.
around?
ward of the
Yeah,
state.
ward,
but
yeah.
but
So
for
that's
them
so
he
sh-
just belonged. All these kids that were taken just
So at 8
belongs
years
to
old,
my
your
Irish.
mother essentially becomes an orphan because she was
Yeah.
taken from her family.
so
Yeah.
how did she ever tell you how they reunited? Because it seems like it was only three.
Uh,
It was only 3 years,
It was
maybe 4.
they knew where they were. They knew where they were living
Right.
Okay.
beforehand, of course.
Okay.
So they just retraced the steps back, walking back
And-
to
Oh,
the
shit.
old place,
And
and then they ended up finding my mom, my aunt, and
so they
meeting
just
up.
went back on a whim, thinking, okay, they
Yeah,
should
well,
be here.
because there's trails where people are going to, because right now during this time people are like still don't know where to go, since
Yeah.
So they're refugees essentially.
yeah, they became refugees. They
Okay.
don't know where to go. They don't know where they're heading. Supplies weren't coming in, so
Mhm.
it actually was a lot worse
After they got,
afterwards, because there was the famine.
After Pol Pot got thrown,
Yeah,
after
because
he lost
this-
power. How long was he in power for?
3 years.
3 years.
Only
About
3 years.
yeah.
three-
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
3 years.
I thought he reigned for like a long time.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, dude. That's why I
Uh,
say it's so fucking crazy. How
In
many
3 years, he
like,
just.
What the
what-
regime was still there until like
God damn it! Keep hitting the
until
stupid
like
table with my
the
knees.
late 80s, I believe, and then
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
when
Yeah,
Vietnam really kind of
So
because this
okay,
battle
so
was
Pol Pot comes out of power, but
ongoing.
the regime stayed in power.
Yeah.
He just
No-
got thrown out as the
no,
leader.
no, no. So
No.
so Vietnam tried to establish a government there, and like
After Pol Pot tried to invade.
yeah,
Okay.
and then so a lot of people they were trying to figure out. A lot of people rejected the government, so there was a lot of like exo factors going on. Like there
It's
was
almost like a lot of small
Yeah.
wars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or like
it became guerrilla warfare.
right.
Right
Well, that's
after.
kind of like what happens is like when a bigger country invades a smaller country.
Hmm.
All of these countries can do. These people with no reason, they can just start militias. That's
and that's kind of what was happening. And then not until I like the mid '80s, early '80s, I think Australia stepped in.
Australia.
Australia, yeah,
Okay.
Australia stepped in and appointed.
Who
a
knew they
prime
even had an
minister.
army?
Yeah, well, I was watching
Yeah,
this documentary.
Across the sea too.
Oh,
Shit.
shit.
I was watching this documentary.
Kangaroos.
Yeah, they sent over kangaroos.
I mean, where's the UK in all this? Like, sounds like they could have stepped in and took all this.
well,
shit.
there's rumors of, and it might be documented, but
Uh-huh.
that the UK was actually sending Khmer Rouge weapons.
Well,
Yeah.
war's profitable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But,
and the French that colonized,
Mhm.
I was like, where were they? They used to, colonize us, and
Right.
we gained independence, sure, but
Mhm.
there was still a lot of French influence.
Really, I didn't know that.
Like
Yeah.
French was like the second language. Like
Really?
it's either-
So there
it's
was
Khmer and
Khmer?
French.
No shit.
Yeah.
that's why they love Hennessy.
I
Yeah.
guess so.
And then we even have a lot of our artists
I know.
singing French songs.
Yeah.
So if you go to
God,
France,
it seems
there's
like every country has like a European language in it. That's not necessarily like every non-European country has European languages in it.
Yeah.
You know, even the United States. I mean, not even the United States. All of fucking the Americas
exactly.
is we all speak European languages
Yeah.
now. We
Yeah.
don't speak, and even that's crazy. I didn't know
What do
that.
you
Yeah.
think English is, baby?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, why do you think
English.
everyone speaks Like, if you go to any place in the world, you're gonna run into someone who probably speaks English.
Yeah.
Because the English have conquered like 90% of the world. Or something.
Yeah, because the coup was
I don't know
Long
if that's
No.
true. I mean, I
Yeah.
know that English have definitely had
He's
a lot
just
of influence.
exaggerating. He's
Yeah.
No. They've had a humongous influence on the entire world.
Yeah, and
by
the
raping and
coup,
pillaging. Mhm.
the coup,
No,
it's Long No, and the CIA was involved in helping orchestrate that coup.
Yeah.
The coup, who is
of the king
Of
of
the king.
when
Sihanouk.
they overthrew him. When they overthrew him
So
the first time,
that's why I was kind of like, oh, why wasn't the French involved? It kind of makes sense because they're like superpower, super allies, right?
right.
Well, the
French.
French left Vietnam.
left.
They were like, "Fuck that! I'm out of here." When the Viet Cong was really fucking.
Sacre bleu.
Yeah, they were sacre bleu. I'm out of here.
Yeah, yeah. And then look at Cambodia. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, you Pol Pot is killing y'all.
You know,
C'est la vie.
You know the
Any more French words? Let's go.
That's all I know. I
Yeah,
just know
the
sacre bleu.
sacre
Sacre bleu.
Omelette du fromage.
You know the French always run. That's what they're
Oh,
known for.
actually, the
Hey.
French helped us win the Revolutionary War. So, well, not us, but the
Viva la France.
the white boys who wanted to be
Yeah.
Americans and not British
Yeah.
anymore.
I would say it was
Yeah.
more the Indians, the more Native Americans, but you
Yeah.
know.
Native Americans?
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the French fought with the United States to beat Britain.
Yeah, but
And then
only because they hated the Brits.
Of
They had
course.
just lost that 7-year war.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Viva la France.
Anyway, so your mom is in the concentration camp, and then she gets out of the concentration camp, or they
She-
move her.
They move her, and then when Pol Pot left and the Vietnamese came in, like basically the Vietnamese were like, "Hey, soldiers, you're free to go."
Soldiers
So
saying
they-
all the
they-
people
Yeah,
who
like
were
the kids.
Yeah,
and
Okay.
yeah. So
So they just said,
gave them a
okay,
choice.
okay.
They gave like, "Hey, you want to fight us? You can still fight,
Oh.
or if
So
you,
your mom was probably then in the camps going around for 3 years, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Until
Yeah.
the Vietnam came,
yeah."
and then she just had to find her
Who-
way.
She
back
probably
to her
probably
family.
killed a couple of people. I don't know.
But I mean, like,
Oh,
even
shit.
still, like,
I don't know.
well, we don't know that.
I
But
don't
what
know.
we do know is that your mom went in at 8. Pol Pot's in power for 3 years. He gets overthrown. The Vietnamese come in.
She's like 11.
She's 11 now. She gets released, and now she has to find her way through Cambodia by herself back to her family.
She was with other
Some of
family.
the-
I
some
think
of the-
she ended up finding like her
also too.
cousins.
Hold on, I want to hear what Peter has
Yeah.
to say.
She ended up finding her cousins,
Uh-huh.
and they end up traveling together in
Okay.
the group, and then
But like, what's the age? They're still kids. They're just kids.
yeah, they were
just
kids.
roaming through
They were
Cambodia.
Kids. Yeah, they were kids.
insane.
And then but then still, like you said, like I said, they had all the shipments being cut off. So now people are trying
Shipments
to,
of like food and stuff.
Food,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, there was no trade
there's
really
no
going on.
trade. So people are just they're
Vietnam
walking.
cut
walk-
off the shipments from what? From where was shipments
No,
coming
no.
from?
Well, there was
All
no
over the spot.
government. There was
no government.
There was nothing established. So
Yeah.
there's no way you can have a trade.
Yeah,
So they're roaming through Cambodia, and there's just no food anywhere.
yeah. So they ended up going to they took refuge in Thailand in the
Oh.
refugee camps there that they Thailand kind of made for them.
For them,
After the fact
go
because
Thailand.
because in that 3 years,
Mhm.
yeah, to go Thailand,
For,
but
kind of.
yeah,
Yeah,
go,
yeah,
yeah.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't. I'm
And
just.
but I appreciate we appreciate that
It's just,
they
I
it's
mean-
just Thailand wasn't allowing people to escape, right? They would
Mhm.
like send them right back.
Yeah.
That's what was
So,
going on.
Oh, but I
yeah.
thought they had refugee
No,
camps.
yeah,
They had-
after the fact.
Oh, but when Pol Pot was in charge, and
Well, they
would
didn't know.
go to Thailand, they would
no,
be like,
well the thing is that for that 3 years nobody knew
What
that
was
this
going on, yeah.
genocide was happening.
Oh.
So no outside media, no news. That's why when that happened, you didn't hear anything from Cambodia after that. After that regime
Mhm.
kicked in, there was no reporters going in because they're
Right.
probably getting killed
of
or
course,
whatever.
they don't want Pol.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
like,
when Vietnam came, that's when Vietnam and the Vietnamese were like, look at what's going on here.
Yeah, well, they
you
didn't
know,
know. They were just
what-
they
Yeah,
just
yeah,
got
they were
threatened,
surprised.
and they
Pol
were like,
Pot
what
was pretty
yeah.
much when Pol Pot was in charge. He pretty much was just going around and saying either you're in my army or I'm gonna fucking kill you.
no, he was going around telling them, "This is where I'm putting you. You're gonna
Oh,
work. You're gonna
right,
be a soldier, and that's if you refuse to leave your
Then
house,
we're gonna kill you.
then we're gonna kill you."
And then, but
And
then,
sometimes it was like old people who couldn't even get up, and if you couldn't get up, they shot them right in the spot, right where they lied.
Yeah,
but like why?
drag them, run them over with the car.
And what does he get out of it? He just sits on a pile of cash while everyone else lives in poverty. And,
Well, but the thing is
There,
that
there was a theory that he might have just been mad because he had been around forever in the jungles, just
Yeah.
like gathering this militia.
But
because
he-
like it's like look,
Pol
okay,
Pot is a smart guy.
Yeah.
Right.
He went to college in France.
okay.
He had different upbringings, and he wasn't just like a military guerrilla soldier coming out of
He had
straight from the
education.
jungle. He had education. He
Okay.
was a smart guy.
Okay.
Mm.
And most people in Cambodia didn't have education.
No,
Okay.
no, and
So
so the ones that he put in charge
Mhm.
in different regions,
Mhm.
they usually wouldn't even go to Pol Pot. Not to say that I'm kind of justifying
Mhm.
his killing. The
No,
killings
I know
from
what
Pol
you
Pot.
mean, but
But,
like
there's
there weren't a lot of options.
there weren't a lot of options, and the thing is that he was like, it's a free fall.
Mhm.
So whoever that was controlling regions
Mhm.
in the rice field,
Mhm.
whoever that guy that was in charge wanted to kill somebody, they'll kill him.
Oh,
Without even saying it.
shit.
While even asking
Okay, so
Pol
what
Pot.
you're saying is basically
Without
he,
even asking
he
Pol
just
Pot.
gave
Yeah, he just
the,
gave. Yeah,
the
he
power is like, okay, you guys do what you want. This is your section. This is
just. Yeah.
But
Don't-
but
don't-
how
you
did
have to
but how
replace
did,
him.
how did so if he's gonna be like, hey, do what you do? How does he know that that person's gonna be like, well, you know what? I'm gonna fucking get my own militia together. I'm gonna go after Pol Pot. You know what I'm saying? Like within his own, I guess
They were. There
yeah,
were stories.
there was a resistance.
there was a resistance.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about resistance. I'm just talking about someone who was like, fuck that. I'm gonna take Pol Pot's spot and I'm gonna be on top. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
But Pol Pot was kind of hard to reach in himself.
But and where's he at? Is he like in a stronghold somewhere in Cambodia? Like
wasn't he in,
sitting on a
was
throne?
he at the capital? To be honest, I didn't really get much of that. What I did
Yeah.
get was when Vietnam
He's-
took them down,
Mm-hmm.
he kind of escaped to the jungles in Thailand. They do say that he died.
I just don't get why you would like take power of a country and then just like drain it of its resources almost and just use the people as your own like personal like workforce. Either you work for us or I'm gonna fucking murder you.
He
I
was just
mean,
tired of it.
yeah, maybe he was just a narcissist, dude. He just
I
fucking
guess
out
so.
of his mind.
I
man.
guess so.
Yeah.
Cause like
Yeah, because money
What's the-
wasn't there was money meant nothing.
mhm,
Yeah.
There were money all over the city, all over flying around.
mhm.
Like that's how
Okay.
Oh
crazy
yeah.
it is.
Oh shit.
Where there was like you could just grab a wad full
in,
of
ca- in
money
the capital,
in the capital.
there's just money on the floor.
It was a ghost town filled with money.
Yeah.
and because he got everyone out of the capital.
Yeah.
And he only had his army.
His
in
army ransacking, getting whatever they feel like
I
they
mean,
want.
fuck,
So.
you know? It sounds like if you're a Cambodian and you're probably pissed off because you've been poor and you have no education, so we're going to either you come into the ghost town full of money or you go work in the fucking rice fields or get killed.
That's kind of...
Where are you going to go?
Yeah.
I mean...
And then that money in the city don't mean nothing because you can't spend nothing.
Oh,
Pretty
shit, I
much.
guess.
Yeah.
Like,
Or
did Pol
nothing.
Pot at least, like, take care of his soldiers? Like, they're getting,
course.
like, laid and fed and stuff?
I'm feeling
Like how I
they
said,
probably
get
will.
laid first.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
Every
I'm pretty
communist
sure,
is
of
like
course.
that.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah, I don't think he'll deprive them like that. They were freaking.
he was
Does-
probably just ill prepared to run a country.
sure.
And he did...
It sounded like Cambodia was just up for the taking.
Yeah. And
After
this
they
man
left the
just
French. Well,
seized-
nah, because then King
It was-
Luke was in power for a while. But
Yeah.
the bombings made.
Also...
So
made
really
it
what
possible
happened
for
is
them to be
the
vulnerable.
Vietnam War, though it was this Vietnam conflict between Vietnam and the U.S. and you know,
Well,
blah,
also,
blah, blah.
you know...
It sounds like they were a tremendous casualty of this war,
Oh, yeah. Big time.
and it really wasn't even their war.
And the U.S. was a big bully, and the whole.
Yeah.
I mean, the U.S. really beat them down to the point where, to this day,
Cambodia.
Yeah,
Okay.
where we accepted.
and they had
So-
nothing to do with Vietnam other than the fact that the king was just trying to keep his people in
Right.
peace, trying to keep his country together,
Right.
and the U.S. was like, "Well, you're really close to Vietnam. How do we know you're not going to be communist?"
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit. I
Yeah.
don't know.
And
So, okay,
And-
go on.
well, people that weren't soldiers, weren't re-educated, you know, they were just like
Workers.
there were stories where like people will just like try to sneak in like little plants that they know that are edible
Mm-hmm.
and sneak it in so they could share with people inside the house
Or just to
for
eat.
just to eat.
People who were like in the fields.
Yeah, and
Uh-huh.
then this was just like little lemongrass stuff and
Uh-huh.
you know little plants like
So what? They didn't feed their workers.
it's like
There was
porridge.
like no food.
It's like porridge because they made
Right.
nothing but rice.
Right.
So whatever porridge they had, they probably had that and like probably like a little piece of like whatever meat, little small meat, like
Meat.
one piece that we
Uh-huh.
got to share with like 40 people.
Fucking insane, dude.
And then people were just like starving.
Yeah.
People were starving.
I don't
People
mean- I
and
don't mean to laugh. I'm just thinking about like, you know, how hard like life is
was.
for some people, you know, and
Yeah.
it's like, you know,
And
Yeah.
we're sitting here.
living in the United States, it's hard to gripe about anything. I mean, no doubt. Like,
Mhm.
I was thinking about how like my parents and I know like Felipe's parents grew up in like similar neighborhood, like
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
the same neighborhood. Like my parents grew up in Boyle Heights, I think, what
Yeah,
El
yeah.
Sereno, and like
Lincoln Heights. Yeah.
there's a lot of like gang violence. Yes, there's a lot of like drugs on the street and
Yeah.
a lot of stuff going on. But I mean, like shit.
It's still nothing
It's
compared
like,
to
yeah,
like
it
war
sounds like
crimes.
child's play compared
Yeah.
to like refugees,
Yeah.
re-education
Bombing,
camps.
yeah.
You know what I'm
Educate-
saying? Like,
Oh, wait, your mom
Starving to
mom
death.
was a soldier, refugee
Refugee
soldier. Oh yeah, my
soldier?
dad was a
Oh.
cholo on the
yeah,
street.
Yeah,
my
yeah,
dad fucking sold
Yeah.
crack to a bunch
Yeah,
of crackheads. Oh,
they
that's great.
start yeah.
Yeah.
They weren't and these soldiers weren't really getting fed like that too.
My mom,
So-
my mom's her dad like left when she was like 8, and like she saw him like sporadically throughout her life, you know.
Mhm.
And I always felt bad for my mom. It just sounded like a bad experience. But
Mhm.
your mom was ripped from her fucking family. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
and taking
and-
the re-education. That's insane, dude.
Yeah, and then good. Well,
Not to downplay my mom's
yeah,
life,
yeah,
but you
yeah,
know what
yeah,
I mean.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's
just
It gives you
such
perspective.
gives you a
yeah.
lot of perspective.
It's just two different worlds.
For sure,
And,
for sure.
and this is
Which is why when I said at the beginning, like it's crazy to think that stuff like that going down, it almost seems like ancient,
yeah.
like an ancient
Yeah.
way of doing things, and it's crazy that stuff still goes down even to this day.
Yeah, I
Look
mean,
at
well,
North Korea,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, and look at what's going on now in Venezuela. I feel like there's something
Right.
similar to a coup that might even take place.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't really know much about that. So
Well, I mean, it's
I know a bit.
Well, let
but
me ask you
not
this.
really as much.
So I just want to, so your mom gets out of the camps, and Vietnam says, "All right, everyone's free to go." So now she's with her cousin. She's travels. Does she ever make it back to her family?
Yeah.
Or like what's the happy?
Yeah,
is there a
we-
happy ending at all?
It was like bittersweet because
Bittersweet.
they end up finding each other,
Uh huh.
but not all of them
Because some of them
because some of them
got killed.
even with compare, with Tom Selleck here,
Mhm.
it's just the exact same thing. You'll be lucky if you have everyone alive
Right, for sure.
in the family. So everyone, especially here that's here in the United States, will actually have like 2 or 3 family members.
Damn,
Like
that's
there would be
insane.
like times where I'm like thinking, yeah, I wish I could like meet my other aunt
right.
or my other
Yeah.
uncle.
So
but
I think it's safe to say that
things
like
like that.
most if you meet a Cambodian person around our age, somewhere between
Yeah.
25 and 30, they're only 1 or 2 generations away from this going down, and probably most of them have a similar story of
Exactly.
my family just the shit went down and it
Exactly.
separated families, probably every
Well,
single one of them.
Exactly.
What I want to ask is, so your mom's 11, so now she comes over here when she's a few months.
Yeah,
She's pregnant with
87.
you now.
87.
So,
Are you
May.
the firstborn?
No, I'm the youngest.
Oh, you're
so
the
you had-
youngest.
oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
shit.
the youngest.
So your mom stayed in Cambodia for a while?
Yeah. She was supposed to come earlier, and but then she wanted to take care of my grandpa,
Okay.
her dad.
And he
Right.
wasn't able to make the
He
trip.
wasn't
wasn't
able.
gonna make the
yeah,
trip.
yeah.
Okay.
He's gonna stay. He's not gonna leave. So he
Did he want to leave or he just he was
nah.
like
And then
fuck
my
it.
mom was like, I'm gonna stay too.
That's
Okay.
funny because there's a lot of stories of like older, like especially when the Khmer Rouge went in, and there was a lot of older people that just did not want to leave, and that's how they got killed.
Yeah.
Because they were just like, nope, I'm not fucking leaving. Kill me.
people
me. Yeah.
people do
Hey,
that a
and-
lot. Yeah.
And it'll be luck sometimes.
What do you mean?
Because if you're smart enough and if you know how to adapt, you'll play along with these soldiers thinking that you're them too,
Mhm.
and then they'll probably let you go and probably have you go into the camps and stuff.
Right.
As long as you're smart enough to kind of play the role, just like
Yeah. So like if you're a teacher or professor, you
like
pretend
my-
to be stupid.
yeah.
Like I wasn't a teacher.
Oh.
like my
okay.
grandma. My grandma, she was a server, right?
Mhm.
When they ended up going to her house, one of the soldiers mistakenly
Mhm.
seen her and thought that she was one of the general's wife,
Oh, and she went along with it.
and then she went along with it.
Damn.
Oh, shit.
And then she was like, "Damn!" And then she ended up being I believe a server or something,
Uh-huh.
but something to that extent, because I really didn't get too much out of her.
And had she not done that,
And has she not
So
done
your-
that,
so-
she'll
so
probably
your grandma
work
made
her
it-
butt. Oh.
Your grandma made it out of Cambodia.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
she made it out of Cambodia.
And so she just got fucking lucky. And
She got
so
lucky.
Not just lucky, but she was smart enough to be like, yeah, that's who I am.
Yeah.
Take me.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
she was smart
and
enough.
then she got a job where like she was a little out
Yeah,
of the.
yeah, out where they're going to.
Mhm.
But then she kind of knew all the, like, she couldn't communicate with all her kids because her kids were taken away for it.
Yeah.
Right.
So she already knew, like, okay, I survived, but who else will I see later? So
Damn, imagine though, like
Crazy.
the thought of like, because we see it now, we know this is only 3 years, but to them that could have been
Oh,
like,
dude.
I was like, oh shit, this is my life now.
Yeah, they didn't
Like,
know it was going to
yeah.
be 3 years.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
insane, dude.
Yeah.
And then her seeing 3 out of her 8.
3 out of her 8 siblings
Mm-hmm.
only? So
Yeah.
after what?
My mom,
Uh-huh.
Pip's mom,
Pip's mom.
and the other sister, which
So-
she lives in Thailand right now.
Oh, so when she went to the re-education camp, that's the last time she saw her other siblings other than
Oh,
the
you
2
mean her
sisters?
children or?
Yeah,
Oh,
my
her
grandma.
siblings. 8. So she had 8
Like
people,
8, 9.
8
fuck,
people
I
in her
forgot.
family.
Yeah.
And after Pol Pot took over, it was just her and her 2 sisters, and she never saw anyone else ever again.
Mhm.
Oh,
Oh my god,
Yeah.
that is fucking crazy, dude.
And then we ended up surviving. My
Mhm.
mom and those 3 ended up seeing each other in the concentration camps.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
concentration camps.
Well,
The
that's what
refugee
they-
camps.
That's what. Oh, okay. Yeah. After,
Not
after.
the concentration.
Right,
camps,
right,
my bad.
right.
Yeah.
The refugee camps.
Yeah.
Oh,
in
okay,
Thailand.
okay.
After
Yeah.
it was.
That's crazy, dude.
So.
And even in the refugee camps, the people there weren't really treating them
Right.
because
yeah.
they're outsiders, and
Right,
how
right.
that goes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
So,
sure.
so that's
they
all.
call
That's
it
conflict in
xenophobia.
and stuff. Yeah, exactly. So you know, they didn't even escape, you know,
So how
conflict because there's new conflicts that arise
yeah.
with, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah, within.
that.
So what happened? So how did your family eventually get over here? How did your mom and your grandma
my
and your,
cousin's dad, he was educated enough to come to get sponsored
oh,
to
shit.
United States.
Sponsored meaning what does that mean?
It's
Like someone gave him money, obviously, to get over here.
yeah, well technically they'll pick whoever is able and has an education
Mm-hmm.
and that's really able to make a living in the United States.
We only
and then,
want your good ones.
yeah,
okay?
technically,
thanks.
and then and basically this
so
is like
merciful,
the United, yeah,
States.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
exactly. You know, they
Only
felt
send us
they
your
felt
good ones.
bad.
Well,
they
that's-
felt bad, so
Yeah.
you know they
Yeah,
did
well,
this
they're
program.
it sounds like they're the ones who fucked it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, technically.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
No
So
shit.
they end up getting.
Well, you know,
Proud
Congress
to be
didn't
an
fi-
American.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
I
sorry.
mean, that's why I'm saying like, if there was like some kind of amnesty going on at the time, it had to have been because they found all this stuff. Yeah. Hey, Papa.
Oh, nice.
Hey, I want one too.
Yeah, can you bring me one?
Please,
What was with the side eye?
The side eye.
Sorry, what were you saying, Felipe? We
Something
could fix that.
Okay. Damn, I lost my train of thought. So there was probably this amnesty going on because Congress didn't find out about the whole bombing, the secret bombings until there was actually
Until there's a protest
Secrets.
when somebody found out there was a whistleblower.
yeah, there was
Oh.
yeah.
Somebody like, hey, this is happening, and then
They
it
say
spread out.
that the Vietnam War was really the first kind of war that was like a shady war, like a shady ass
Yeah.
war, like
Thank you, Ethan. Don't forget
What
Don.
about Big Don right over here? What about the Rev?
One more, Ethan.
One more, please. I think you said you were saying no. They say that the Vietnam War was the first, or like World War II was the last war. World War II was the last war that was like a justified war. Like there was a guy. It's all good. There was a guy, who's like there was an actual bad guy, who is ransacking Europe, and we have to stop this motherfucker. But Vietnam was where the United States started to kind of be shady almost, and like false flag operations and secret
Yeah.
bombings and
Yeah.
and you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, there was this big, huge scare of like communism and
For sure.
Russia taking over the world, and
Mhm.
it was
Yeah.
it
Exactly.
was crazy times, man.
Yeah.
Right after World War II.
And then
Yeah.
it's still going on to
Well,
this day, where it's United States and Russia are always head to head, always
Yeah.
bumping heads, and
Well, I don't really know a lot about world relations. I'll be honest, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to hear about your
Yeah.
your story because
So
to me that sounds crazy. You know?
So how did your mom fly? Okay, so they got sponsored.
and then I guess there was something with my uncle where he's able to bring certain amount of family members
yeah.
along during different years.
Oh, shit.
So he was having this program where, you know, along with the money, because he has to put in money. So you know,
yeah.
the United States is not really gonna help. So he actually ended up doing all this paperwork, putting all this money, sending money to Cambodia, to the refugee camps.
Right.
And until my mom said, she's ready to go. And I think that's when my grandpa passed. That's when she was like,
Oh,
okay.
And then she was like, I'm ready to go.
Oh,
Yeah.
and what year was this? When your grandpa passed?
I don't even know.
Well, let's figure this. How old are you?
I'm 31.
31. So this was like you said. That,
87.
So 87,
So
88.
yeah,
Yeah.
so but I think he probably passed like 6 months before.
Oh,
Not
okay.
that long ago.
So she was in Cambodia for a long time after
Wow.
all
Oh
that
yeah,
went down.
yeah.
Oh.
She had my oldest brother already, and my other brother. So my
Okay.
2 older brothers.
Wow.
One
Oh.
was born in Cambodia.
What
One
is-
was born
Mhm.
in. So she had the oldest one during the time where she was like probably like 16, 17.
Mhm.
She was around that age.
Oh, okay.
She had my oldest brother.
Did you guys have the same dad?
No.
Okay.
My oldest brother had a different dad.
Different dad.
And then this one, and even with
Wasn't
the
Pol Pot, was it? No, I'm just kidding. That was a horrible joke.
Damn.
That was such a
Damn.
bad joke.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
fuck. I'm sorry, dude. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I'm putting a bounty on.
No.
Podcast.
Oh my god, that was so fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm such an asshole.
Boom.
Move. Yeah. Well, the thing is that, especially with that boom,
I'm assuming Pol Pot was dead at this point.
You know, no,
Yes.
no,
Well,
no. He
Was he?
he
Or when
survived.
did
he die?
He died in 2010, I believe.
Oh, so because he went to Thailand, you said, right?
But they found him in the jungle. of
Yeah, they found him in
Cambodia.
the jungle in Cambodia. I think he was still trying to
Who
like.
found him? The
uh,
government of Cambodia or whatever at the time?
He had family with him,
Oh, okay.
I think, and then one of the family members was found, and then they're like, Pol Pot's still alive, some shit like
Damn.
that.
So then, did he ever get tried for
Yeah,
anything?
so what's
He-
going on currently now
Mhm.
is so Pol Pot's dead, so he never got to get tried, but they are putting a lot of these generals, a lot of the main heads that were in charge, they're putting them on trial for crimes against humanity, and a lot of them are getting convicted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
There's a
crazy.
city in Cambodia where there's nothing but exiles of.
It's almost similar to like the Nazis, like when the
Mhm.
Nazis, like when the Third Reich fell, like they say Hitler died, some say he escaped,
Yeah.
and then a lot of Nazi generals escaped though, and some of them never got tried. Some of them went to hiding forever, and
yeah.
Mhm.
Some of them are
Even-
Argentina, fucking
even in some of them, I think some even came to the United States. Well,
Yeah.
there's also I think it's not even a theory. I think it's proven that like after the war, the United States recruited a bunch of German scientists like to
Yeah.
because they were so damn smart.
yeah. So they had to hide the fact that they were fucking
Nazis,
German Nazis.
and
Yeah,
shit.
Einstein.
Einstein.
Yeah,
yes,
but he wasn't a Nazi.
He wasn't a Nazi.
Yeah,
I think
but
he was from Austria.
He's from
was
Austria.
Yeah, but he was a scientist that they snatched.
yeah,
they did.
yeah. But
But he
he's-
wasn't
we're
a Nazi
talking.
scientist. We're
Yeah.
talking
Oh,
about
Nazi science.
I'm
My
talking
bad,
about
my bad, my bad.
Nazi scientists after World War II.
Yeah.
A lot of them, they said, "All right, you come work for us," and
yeah,
we might
yeah.
look the other way.
There's
You know
a-
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
in Mexico, and I don't know what part,
Mhm.
but somewhere deep in Mexico, there's this town that's like it's almost like a German, like there's
Right.
blonde hair, white people, and they're all from Germany. They even the architecture, it's all German, like
Really?
and they say, I don't know if it's confirmed, but they say that town derives from these Nazis that
Who escaped.
and went to Mexico.
There's it's weird. There are like pockets of German culture, like German communities, like in places that aren't Germany. Like there's that one. I never heard of that one, but like there's a in Texas. There's a place in Texas. I'm not sure where, but it's like a German like town, and like people speak a certain type of like German there that's almost like a dead language because it's just there in this. It's like this Texas German that exists.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know if it maybe if maybe it came from people who were from Nazis who came and settled in Texas, but
So Tex Germ,
yeah, Gemtex, I guess,
Gemtex.
Germtex,
Germ-tex.
I like that.
Germatex.
German Tex.
But yeah. It's that's kind of
Yeah.
weird. But back to your
But
fan.
you know what? It's crazy because you know how after it's all said and done, they killed all the teachers, they killed all the singers.
Pol
and
Pot regime.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
which is sad. I mean, they killed all the scientists.
Right.
Like, right now,
So then they
currently right now, we're top 5. I think top 3 in the youngest country, meaning that like 70% of our population is 27 and under.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
wow.
It's a young.
How many
young-
percent?
Like about 70%.
That's
because
a lot, dude.
yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah,
So we're in like that top 5, top 3
that's
range.
insane.
It is
So
because
what does that mean though? That like all the old people were like killed or
yeah,
died
well,
off?
1.7 million people. That's a lot, and we're not a big.
That means most of the young kids that were able to survive the work camps,
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
soldier
Yep.
re-education, and they are the ones that started are basically there to restart the country.
Mhm.
Another
Yeah.
funny thing is that Nook,
Mm-hmm.
King Nook, got reinstated into politics in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For what country? Cambodia?
Cambodia, yeah.
Hmm.
And people, there was still, I'm telling you, there were still people who were loyal to him and were like,
Well, he
We'll
did
follow
have
him.
that 15 year like run where Cambodia was apparently thriving.
Prosperous.
So
We were.
he probably
They
drove-
said that Cambodia was like going near United States level in terms of the economy,
Yeah.
Really?
the music,
Uh-huh.
Right.
because the music could go toe to toe with
No
China's
shit, huh?
music. Oh yeah,
Yeah, but-
I got a whole playlist of songs that you'll be like, damn, this is what was
Cambodian
being
music.
played during that time.
Yeah, and are they
Rock and
singing in
roll.
English or are they singing in
They
Cambodian?
sing in Cambodian, Khmer.
Khmer.
They sing in Khmer and English. They got some
Uh-huh.
English songs. They got remix of like the Beatles songs,
That's
of
dope.
Santana's song.
Right.
All these remakes, and it was like, wow, that's it goes to show how forward thinking he was during that time, and
Hmm.
how he wanted to make ourselves a small country
Right.
into a
So his
very
mistake was
Being
just
a-
sort of choosing the wrong side during the Vietnam
Well,
War.
Yeah,
he-
he's not
he's-
knowing what to do.
he's always been a neutralist.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been
It's-
playing the neutral. I don't want to be a part of what your
Yeah.
war, but we're here if maybe
Do
someone
you-
needs a hand. Or
Do you
something.
know why? Well, do you know why the Viet Cong won the Vietnam War? Why fucking we were like, let's get the fuck out of here? Because do you know why?
Because of the jungle.
Well, the jungle, yes, there was like the Viet Cong. They just knew the jungle better than the United States.
Yeah,
But-
guerrilla warfare.
The guerrilla warfare, and I don't think they had really done guerrilla warfare. The United States on they were doing like trench warfare.
They were doing
trench.
trench.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trench and beachside,
Yeah.
seaside.
But
stuff.
not only were they not familiar with guerrilla warfare, but the Viet Cong had AKs, I think, and the United States had M16s, which are like
Yeah.
they jam really easily or something.
Yeah.
So when you're in the jungle and you're fucking laying in the mud and you're all your gun jams, and the Viet Cong just comes raining down on you with the AK-47s.
Yeah.
So we were just ill prepared, which is odd though because we could have just bombed the shit out of them, I guess.
Which is what we tried to do.
but it didn't
but-
work.
Yeah. Well, it didn't
What-
work because the force was too dense.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. That's crazy, dude. I may have said this before, but my uncle, my dad's oldest brother, he was in high school from 1970 to 1974. That was the year he graduated high school.
Mhm.
And he went to an all boys Catholic school, Salesian, right there in fucking Boyle Heights. And he said that when you got out of school, either you had two pretty much paths. You either go to college or you get drafted.
Yeah.
And he said that guys would get drafted all the time. They would graduate, get drafted, and that they would if anyone would get killed in action, that they would announce it at the school, like, oh, so and so passed
wow.
away,
Fuck.
killed in action, this and that. And my uncle said that I guess he assumed that his fam wasn't gonna have any money for college, or I don't know why, but he was like, I'm not gonna go to college, so I'm probably just gonna get drafted. So he said he kind of like coasted through school a little bit just to get, and then when he graduated, the war ended and the draft was over, and he was like,
Oh, wow.
wait, what about me? And yeah. I mean, he ended up working for the phone company.
Pacific
and,
Bell.
Yeah, Pac Bell. Pac Bell.
Nice. Pac Bell.
And then eventually became Verizon, and then he worked for them for like 40 years. He's doing good. He's doing good.
Yeah.
Cool,
But
cool,
I remember he told me that when I was young, and he was like, "Yeah, thought I was gonna go to Vietnam, and then fucking war
Yeah.
ended."
Yeah.
What the
Yeah.
fuck?
Fuck, man, hey,
It's
bro,
crazy.
what the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
It's crazy,
Yeah.
huh? But
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And also the Khmer Rouge, from keeping the people from escaping,
Mhm.
they will put thousands upon thousands of landmines
That's
all
right,
over
yeah.
the place.
Yeah, we forgot to mention that.
And
Uh-huh.
and then
Still active today.
and still active today. Like
Yeah.
for
Talk to
a
the-
good
talk to the mic.
a good example is my mom's first husband.
Mhm.
Since this is during the end of the regime,
Like in the 80s.
that 3-year run was,
Right. Oh,
and then
okay.
they started to live their lives and still
Everything-
struggling.
Everything, but it's kind of started to go back to normal a little bit.
Not really.
Not really.
Yeah,
Okay.
but this is still the struggling time still.
Right.
They'll
Can't
catch
catch a break.
No, well, yeah, dude. All this, it's fucked up.
Yeah,
for sure,
Like
I
when I
know.
did this research, I
Yeah.
went to bed thinking like, fuck, that's
Fuck.
fucked up.
Shit.
Yeah,
Birds
Yeah.
chirping,
Yeah.
sitting
Yeah.
here,
yeah,
Yeah.
nice microphones.
Yeah.
yeah.
Talk about
they were survive. They were trying to survive, and they were go and try to fish and everything.
Uh-huh.
And my mom's first husband, my oldest brother's dad, he lost a leg
From a mine.
landing in mine, and he caught a fish. And which is surprising because usually when there's pressure it will ignite, detonate, and then it didn't inside this fish.
It was a mine in the fish.
I guess the fish ate it or
Ate
something.
the mine.
Yeah,
Okay.
something, or they inserted whatever.
Okay.
Just, and then he
Well,
ended
how
up
big are mines?
Depends
It
on how
really-
they
yeah.
they make them.
those are kind of like
like a CD.
probably like a 3-inch diameter.
Okay.
So it's
these
not
are,
that
So the fish
pretty
was a
big.
big fish. If
Yeah.
it was able to have
Yeah.
it
Oh, yeah.
inside it. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
definitely. It was
I'm
fat.
thinking like little trout.
No,
and
no,
shit,
no.
You know?
It was fat in its belly.
I'm sure it wasn't
Yeah.
a sardine.
Yeah.
This was like a tuna.
Yeah.
So-
A big ass sardine stretched out.
So he's fishing.
Yeah, he
He
caught it.
catches the fish,
Get a knife,
gets a knife,
cuts it,
and it
and
explodes.
it exploded and took off his eye.
Damn,
it took
I'm
out-
surprised it didn't kill him. Because
yeah.
our mind's meant to like
Yeah,
kill
yeah.
people.
Yeah.
You would
he
think.
I believe he kind of turned in the right time.
Oh, really? Like he
And then
just and it
then
like
it went this way,
it caught his
but then
eye.
it caught his eye and took out his eye.
That's
so
insane.
he got one lost leg and
Oh,
one missing
an eye and a
Oh,
leg.
man.
an eye and a
Jesus
leg.
Christ.
So yeah, and then right now they're still having metal detectors looking
Yeah,
for
don't they?
landmines.
Like in
Both
Vietnam,
sides. Yeah.
I don't know if they're doing this in Cambodia. I think they should if they're not doing it already. But in Vietnam, they're using rats. Like Vietnam, and I think in Africa,
Mhm.
they're using. I'm not sure what part of Africa, but they're using rats and they're training them to sniff out landmines.
Mhm.
So the rats will go, and
Hmm.
since the rats are light enough not to set off the bomb,
Oh.
they'll go right on top of it. Let whoever's looking for the landmines
Mhm.
know that hey, there's some right here. They'll
Yeah.
come and fucking detonate it.
Which kind of blows a hole in Endgame.
Oh.
Because remember the rat steps on the
Oh, that's
control
right.
and gets
Ah.
Ant-Man out of the quantum
Hey,
zone.
hey, I give him.
Heavy
I
enough
give
to
him.
press that button.
I
made that
guess
button
so.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
It was a fat rat.
it was a fat rat.
It was
Big
a
ass
fat
rat.
Fattest
yeah.
rat.
Right.
Yeah,
it
it
was
was-
it was a weren't they in New York? It was a New York
Yeah, it
rat.
was a
You know
New
New York
York
rats
rat.
are fatter,
They're almost like cats.
a little smarter.
Forget about
It,
it.
it reminded me of the
Can't-
rats I used to live with.
Oh shit. My
That was so
homies.
stupid.
So, wow, so I don't know why I did that. I was gonna.
That's another episode. We'll get
Yeah,
on that
yeah,
one.
well, yeah, infestations. So, yeah, man, I thought it was. That's crazy, man. I really wanted to hear that story of your mom because it's just I think it's a crazy story.
Yeah,
and
it is, and but there are even crazier stories.
for sure,
Especially you could YouTube it too.
for sure. But one of the reasons why I wanted to, because me and Felipe were like, well, let's bring Peter on, and I said we should listen to his story, his family's story of getting out of Cambodia and all that stuff because one of our coworkers who's also Cambodian was saying that the reason why people don't know about the Cambodian genocide as much is because it's not as talked about and not as well financed in terms of like starting organizations to like fund, I guess, the like awareness of the genocide of Cambodia,
like a memorial.
a memorial.
Well,
this and
well, the
that,
thing is, right now, I know a lot of people in Long Beach right now.
well, there's Little Cambodia in Long Beach. I know that.
Yeah.
And that's it. Here in Long Beach.
Well, you know what it is?
That they're doing something like that where they're having this National Remembrance Day,
Right.
which is I believe on the 20th of April.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
You
That's
know,
pretty dope.
around the time of Cambodian, Thai, Laos, New Year's.
Oh, wow.
You know.
Next time they have it, invite us. We'll go to the ceremony.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fuck it.
yeah. Well, I wanted to go this year, but something came up and it
Yeah,
was that
because-
only day. So
How now? Your mom? You see your mom often these days?
Yeah.
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 So
it's
how is
it's a it's a interesting, unique relationship.
okay for sure? Wow, it's
Yeah.
always
Yeah,
there's always a mother-son relationship is like an onion,
yeah.
many layers.
Many.
How they say they cry a lot.
Yeah, they smell bad and they make you cry a lot.
Uh-huh.
But
That's my
that's
mama.
a Shrek joke. But your mom, like, would you consider her like a strong woman? You gotta be.
Absolutely,
You gotta be.
absolutely.
And
She
does
is.
she is is she Is she like an angry person, or does she sort of take it in
No.
stride? She uses it as a way, like, I made it through this struggle,
Yeah,
and I'm here with my boys now.
a lot of things that I've learned in terms of like
because that's traumatizing
turbulence.
shit.
Yeah.
And any person could easily turn into a Pol Pot and be like, wow, if they're gonna fuck me, I'm gonna fuck everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
So
And the crazy thing is, she was strong, and then you know how she came here,
mhm,
she didn't know English, and then she ended up getting divorced, and
mhm,
so she kind of had to survive.
for sure.
So you know,
That's similar to my mom's upbringing. Is her mom was the same way. Like,
Mhm.
she didn't have a man, she didn't speak English, this and that. But I mean, like, they got out of Mexico pretty easily. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
they pretty much are letting anyone
yeah,
come here. And plus, Mexico, you don't have to go across a fucking ocean
Yeah.
to get here. But wow,
Yeah.
you know, let's
yeah.
the Gulf. But anyway, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I
you know
know
what
what
I mean. Like, and
Hey,
that's
we-
a struggle to be in the United States as an immigrant, no English, a
Yeah.
woman.
Yeah.
That's a struggle in itself.
Yeah,
But I mean,
definitely.
when you survive Pol Pot's regime, I guess you could survive
Yeah.
anything.
yeah, and she
Yeah.
survived. And that's why I was like, hey, that's why I don't bitch about nothing.
For sure, hell yeah. I mean,
I don't bitch about
I mean,
nothing.
how
I
could
know.
you?
How could you?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well,
Yeah.
I stubbed my toe this morning, and I was like, I should be glad I could stub my toe and
yeah.
freely.
I'm
freedom.
I'm
Talk
grateful.
shit about it.
Yeah, I'm grateful to be alive.
That's awesome, dude.
So you know, that's the good thing about it. It makes you more grateful. But I know a lot of people that know the story and they're still the same, and they have their ways. But you know,
For
you
sure.
can't change them.
Oh, for
They're-
sure.
they're-
Wow.
All you can do
Or-
is just educate people and make
Yeah,
them aware
sure.
of what went down. And
Yeah,
if they
definitely.
decide to not give a fuck, well, then
Yeah,
that's
that's
their
them.
freedom being in the United
Exactly.
States.
Everyone
You
reacts to
Exactly.
things differently.
Freedom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So.
Freedom. Wow.
Freedom.
Pete, thanks, man.
Oh,
Tom,
no problem.
thanks as well.
You know, I could go on and on. We
I
got,
know, for
and we got
sure, for
stories
sure.
too. So.
I mean, Tom, I feel like we didn't really get much out of you, or maybe we didn't ask the right questions. I don't know.
No, I'm good.
We could always do a part 2.
No, I'm good. I actually enjoyed Peter's story.
Peter,
so.
sir. I think, especially, you know, we live in a time where there's a lot of like women empowerment, and
Yeah.
and I think it's important to put these stories out, especially when
yeah,
they told me the other day, like, you know, Cambodian genocide. I know about it because I know you,
yeah,
and it blew my mind, but I didn't realize how many people don't know about
yeah,
it,
yeah.
Yeah.
and
And I'm glad that you guys did this podcast because you know
sure.
it'll probably open up
it's crazy, dude.
some more eyes.
You
It's a
people
crazy
eyes.
story,
so.
and I mean, like, shit. And the fucked up thing is, shit goes on like this till this day
Till this
in
day.
all kinds of countries. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
if
Yeah.
you're living in the United States, you know you should be. I mean, yeah, we have Trump, but
Pretty happy.
oh shit, I just spilled my water. I didn't mean it, Trump. I didn't mean it.
Yeah.
He got
But
Yeah.
no, but I mean, I
Yeah.
I
But we
think
still have to deal with people that are envious,
for
jealous.
sure. Well,
haters,
people are who
you know.
they are. But
Yeah,
I'm, you know,
so-
you're fucking awesome. You know, I love you, my boy, and I'm happy that we can give you a pop. Let me start that over. I'm happy that we could give you a platform, not just for you, but for your mom and,
Yeah,
and you know,
yeah.
and anyone who,
And maybe yeah.
because your mom, I'm sure she's not like, oh, I want to tell my story and let the world, you know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
sure she's just happy to have a normal fucking life, you know.
Mhm.
So fuck
Yeah.
it, we'll do it for her.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
Yes, definitely.
Mama Peter, we love
And
you.
hopefully, you know, somebody that is Khmer that's
Mhm.
listening to this too is will have the strength to, you know, talk to the parents because
sure.
there's a lot of people, a lot of Cambodian kids that don't ask their parents about
sure.
this stuff.
And sometimes parents don't even like. Your mom seems to be relatively open about it. Sometimes parents are like, I don't want to talk about it because
Yeah.
it's just too
she's semi. She
A
wants
little
you.
bit?
She just wants to give you enough.
little.
Yeah.
for sure.
Because
for sure.
I you know, people like to have secrets too.
For sure. Well, you know, there's probably
It sounds
some
like
things that's
she told you at one point. Shut the fuck up already,
Yeah.
Peter.
Can you stop asking me goddamn questions?
Yeah.
Fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's a dangerous one.
I'm gonna send you to the rice fucking patties. Oh shit.
Oh shit.
Is that what your mom? That sounds like something like your mom would say. Like, if you don't fucking do your homework, I'm sending you back to Cambodia to the rice paddies. Like, no, Mom, please.
No, she
The rice fields.
that was mainly my grandma.
Oh,
My grandma was more like that.
That's
My
not
mom
like-
was more lenient, laid back. She let me do whatever I want to do. So
Shit, that's all right. That's cool. That's cool. That's how my mom used to kind of not like. She used to be like, she used to threaten us by saying that she would only cook beans. She's like, if you're gonna, I'm only cooking pots of beans. That's all we're gonna eat ever. We'd be like, no, please, God.
I want some food.
Were her beans not that good?
No, I don't know. No, I like fucking beans. Like I love, but for some reason, like that was the threat. She's like, I'm just gonna cook a pot of beans and then we're just gonna eat that all week. I'm like, no, please, no.
you should ask.
I
You
need
should ask your
some meat.
I need
mom.
McDonald's for the love of God.
You should ask your mom. Is that really what you want this whole
Shit,
week?
now I'm like, man. Now at my house, I'm like, man. I wish I could make some beans right now. Shit, last me the whole week.
You gotta get that refried beans, homie.
Oh man. Anyways,
Delicious.
Pete, thanks for being open.
Oh.
Hopefully,
Hey,
We
hey,
didn't
my
cry too
pleasure. And no, I think this is what should be told,
yeah,
and especially with anyone that has a story.
right. Like I
So-
said, this goes on all over the fucking world.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You know, once people are more aware, I think people will probably unite much
Unite,
easier.
just get some fucking
Oh,
perspective.
and
you
get
know?
some perspective, definitely. So
We're all people. We're all part of the human race, man.
we all won.
One love. One love.
All right. Anyways, should we cap it?
Yep. Let's
Tom,
cap it up.
thanks too for coming in.
Tom
Always a pleasure.
Selleck, thanks for coming
Tom Selleck,
through,
sorry.
telling your story too.
We'll,
Sure.
we'll get you in next time. Next time, it's Tom only.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, you're not invited, Peter.
No, I'll just be in the background and just
You're
chilling.
fucking ham, hogging up all the spotlight.
Exactly. Exactly. I was
With
like,
your
I'm like,
stories
exactly.
of refuge and
Hey.
re-education camps.
All right.
Oh,
right.
hey, and
up?
if you really want to get in more
Information.
more information, or just to kind of have a sense of how it went.
Mhm.
Like I told Felipe yesterday about the first they killed my father in Netflix.
Oh yeah, Tony Meck was telling me
Yeah,
about that.
that one was a good one. And also, if you could find it, The Killing Fields. And it's
Killing
Killing
Fields. That's on Netflix.
which is
No, it's a really old movie.
yeah, it's like
Oh.
it's the '80s film,
Oh, okay.
and
First They
Yeah.
Killed My Father is a newer film. Just came
yeah,
out.
that's
yeah,
on Netflix,
yeah.
yeah.
And that one depicts the invasion of the capital
Oh, with Pol Pot.
when
No shit.
yeah when they forced everybody
Shit,
out.
I thought we were the head of the curve. Like we were the first ones to ever talk about it. Yeah, we're starting a movement.
No. We're just really young.
We're just
Yeah.
young.
Well-
and hey, man, I mean,
What we're adding to the
but
story.
you gotta think like a movie like that. You know, the average young kid is probably not gonna be like, "Ooh, look, a film on the Cambodian genocide."
No,
You know what I'm saying?
they
That's
probably
for
wouldn't
the
even.
older folk.
Yeah, definitely. But
All
you
right,
know,
I'll
if
take
you
a
guys can just watch that and YouTube S21 too.
S21.
The concentration that high school that they turned into a torture chamber.
Right.
camp.
Oh my god.
And the stories of the survivors there.
And that's also in Cambodia.
Yeah.
Or- okay.
Yeah. It's during the same time. It's just
It's a movie. Or
it's a documentary.
Oh, it's a
Documentary
documentary
on
Okay,
YouTube.
on
Yeah,
YouTube.
on YouTube. So
S21. First They
S21.
Killed My Father and The Killing
the
Fields.
killing fields.
Man.
So whoever is listening to this, which is hopefully a lot of y'all.
A lot of y'all.
The
Yeah.
whole
Uh,
world.
the whole world.
The whole
We're on
world.
the internet, baby.
Uh-huh. If you guys are still interested in this story, you could go and check those out and kind of get more of a understanding.
For
Yeah.
sure.
So,
All right, man. Well, Pete, thanks for all the information, man. That was
Yeah.
fucking amazing. Any final words?
Don Deasy.
Oh, sorry.
All right, thank you guys for listening. We are reaching that 100 subscribers. We are close. We just want to let you guys know we love you
Keep
guys.
subscribing.
Keep subscribing, and we'll get you those stickers.
Keep liking.
Subscribe.
No one's commented on our
Subscribe.
videos yet. Actually, no. One person did a while back. But yeah, keep subscribing, and we'll keep giving you whatever we think is interesting content.
Comment.
Yeah.
We want to talk
Much
back.
love. Much love.
All right, guys. See you next time.
Comment, like, subscribe. Goodbye.
Yeah.